Hey guys, Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the real reason why GTA 6 has not been announced yet, and also a bit of follow-up on why it won't be announced at the Summer Games Fest that is currently going on right now. So back on February 4th, 2020, Rockstar Games co-founder Dan Houser actually announced that he was leaving Rockstar. After 20 plus years and with a handful of unbelievable titles created under his belt, including the most successful, probably video game franchise ever, Grand Theft Auto. And this was shocking news at the time. And a lot of people were wondering, is this the end of Rockstar Games? RIP Rockstar, what are they going to be doing going forward? And there's a good chance that even for some future titles, Dan Houser's footprint is probably still left on there. And he was brought up recently in the news, and for a very interesting reason. I don't know why this grabbed headlines, but it started making its way around like the Rockstar Games sort of sphere. And it actually has to do with Dan Houser moving to LA. That's right. Dan Houser is moving to Los Santos, but in real life. And so the articles that I've read are talking about his, almost $17 million mansion that he ended up buying. And I'm not going to talk about the house itself or the price or whatever. I do think the move is particularly interesting, especially if we focus on the atmosphere of video games. The one thing that I think is particularly interesting about the move to LA, and again, there's multiple reasons why one would move to Los Angeles, but as you guys know, Leslie Benzies also left Rockstar Games. Now, this happened a few years ago. In fact, we started hearing about this in January 2016, and there was an entire lawsuit and a whole bunch of litigation that happened as a result of him leaving. Let's just say it was not the cleanest of splits, but since then, Leslie Benzies has gone on to found his own video game publishing and development studio. I think it's called like Build a Rocket Boy or something like that. And since his leaving in 2016, he has said that he is going to create a sort of open world title called Everywhere. Now, since then, we have not heard a lot about Everywhere. In fact, if you just go to the website everywhere.game, you sort of get a brief idea of what's going on. Like they have a title and they have like a Facebook and Instagram and a Twitter. But that's about it. We don't get a whole lot of other details as far as what they're working on the title. The only thing we know is that his studio, Build a Rocket Boy, is based in Los Angeles. So it kind of makes you wonder if this news of Dan Houser moving to Los Angeles was a strategic one for him to partner up with longtime coworker and friend Leslie Benzies. Wouldn't that be like the craziest thing ever? If Dan Houser ends up leaving Rockstar only to work with or beside Leslie Benzies, who again was at Rockstar for like the longest time ever. So it kind of makes you wonder like what's going on at Rockstar, what's going on at this Build a Rocket Boy studio, and if there's any sort of connection here. And it also might have some sort of connection onto why we haven't seen anything from GTA 6 yet. Now, there's a lot of possibilities here that might not have anything to do with this. It might be the success of Red Dead Redemption. It might be the success of GTA 5. So this is something we're definitely going to have to follow as the story progresses. And if for whatever reason you guys actually are curious about the house itself, which is beyond incredible. And there was basically like two types of reactions to this news coming out that the former vice president of Rockstar purchased a mansion in LA for almost $17 million. The first was a response similar to this that came from Dirty Worka saying, good for him. He helped create a wildly successful product that has employed thousands of people and given millions more countless hours of enjoyment. To the victor go the spoils, and a bunch of like clapping hand emojis. That was like the first type of response that we ended up seeing from players. And the second type of response came from players like this who said, disgraceful, firstly, that it cost almost $17 million, probably just based on the fact that it's in LA and that Dan Houser can afford the house in the first place. All of that possible just due to how what that company of his treated their players. Amazing, really. They are truly EA in disguise. So that was like the second type of response. And the third type of response was just kind of like, making fun of the whole situation. Like this one from Wide Dog, who said, "How many casino heists has he done to get that much?" Which I think is the best type of response. That is absolutely hysterical. So again, we'll follow this situation if anything interesting comes out from it. For now, all you can really say is congrats, man. That is freaking amazing. But anyways, moving on, a little bit of a follow-up to something we discussed the other day, where we actually heard from Jeff Keighley, who is the masterminds and the brains behind the Summer Games Fest that is going on this year. And he was essentially asked if GTA 6 would be announced next week at Summer Games Fest. And he essentially responded to the person who asked that saying, "We are not announcing GTA 6. Come on." It's almost a statement like, dude, that's so ridiculous. There's no way that GTA 6 is going to be announced. And he even had more of a follow-up to those that were still curious about whether GTA 6 would be announced at one of his shows. And he ended up saying this, that there's pretty much no chance something like GTA 6 is going to be announced on his watch. Take a listen to this right here.
Expecting these shows. So, someone today tweeted me like, so, does this mean Grand Theft Auto 6 is being announced? And it's just like, there's silly stuff like that like gets thrown out there. And it's like, no, there's things that are just not going to happen.
So honestly, it's a little bit scary when you hear Grand Theft Auto 6 and Half-Life 3 mentioned in the same sentence, because I do not want that to be the case at all. Because obviously Half-Life 3, something that's been requested for over a decade now, hasn't come out. We're kind of approaching that same territory with GTA 6, which is a little bit scary, coming up on a decade soon-ish, and still yet haven't heard anything. And it kind of makes you wonder if Rockstar is just going to be content with GTA 5 being the final Grand Theft Auto game. I mean, there's no way like that would be possible, but maybe Rockstar as a company have just pivoted and said, like, we're fine with GTA 5 being the final one. So honestly, at this point in time, I really don't care what Rockstar does. I just wish they would come out with something, whether it's just changing their logo like they did with Red Dead Redemption 2, whether it's them announcing that GTA 6 is in early development like what they did with GTA 5. Really, the only thing I want from Rockstar is just a sign of life, something that says like, hey, we are working on the game, just so that we can end like the endless speculation of, is the game going to be coming? Is it not? Is it, actually happening? Is it never going to happen? All this is getting very silly and frustrating. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below on what you think about what we discussed in this video today. Do you think that the former Rockstar Games vice president is up to something? When do you think GTA 6 will actually be announced? Let me know what you guys are thinking in those comments down below. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and Red Dead Redemption videos that I'm doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.